reinterpretation of the assault weapons ban, which is from 1998. For what, 30, going on 30 years the ban nationwide, then the state took over in 98. You just came out of the blue with this, and we're still waiting on the Freedom of Information Act to your notes, and we've requested again, and you've yet to hand them over now, going on a year, as to how you come up with this reinterpretation of the law, and what got you to that point, being that in this state, there's actually hasn't been anyone that's been killed with an assault weapon, and the difference between an assault weapon and a regular weapon is just cosmetics, and all you're doing is pricing out gun owners. And it seems like you're all for the constitutional rights of people, including non-citizens, but yet you're guys like us that are just hobby shooters and, you know, people that just exercising our rights, Second Amendment. Now you're pricing us out with this assault weapon ban, which is doing nothing. Like I said, the stats don't prove that it protects anyone. There's been studies and studies and studies. The assault weapons ban does nothing. It's just cosmetic features. I can easily get a rifle that people look innocent, like, oh, it's a little kid rifle, and it's the same exact rifle, but if I put a couple little things on it, a handle, a flash hider, which I don't know any guys that are trying to be snipers out there in the woods, they don't do anything. It makes zero difference. But yet you've made an effort to do this. You've been sued now. You're being sued by the NRA, Gold, Glock, at our expense. So basically I'm paying you to sue, to fight a case that's taken away my rights. When are you going to release the information that led to this?
And what's your name?
Chris Resendes. Chris Resendes.
Chris, nice to meet you, Chris.
Likewise.
So on that question, we have released the information, Chris. I don't know who's been requesting it from your end, but my office receives a lot of public records requests for information. We've released that information, actually. And went through our office. The parties that requested it. Now there's some, so you can follow up with my office. But
I definitely will, because it hasn't been released.
We've already produced information. We've already produced information. If you're asking about information that is
That led to this.
that is the subject of litigation, you know, there's obviously things that we can't produce by law while litigation is pending. But we produced information.
The Freedom of Information Act was requested well prior to your now litigation with Block, the NRA, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
you know what, Chris, I'm happy to, look, I'm transparent, and let's have a conversation, okay?
Great.
So I'll tell you what I did and how I came to this. First of all, I support the Second Amendment, and I'm not interested in grabbing guns away from lawful gun owners. Okay, guys, I want to engage, okay? I want to really have a conversation about this, so don't sweat. So on Friday, this case is going to be argued in court, right? And here's what I did. I took a look at information that was presented to me that showed that even though we had an assault weapons ban on the books since 1998, there were still sales of assault weapons happening in the state. Now, since I sent the notice out this summer, and by the way, I've not arrested anybody, I've not prosecuted anybody, sales of assault weapons have stopped in the state. I know you're upset about that, but sales of assault weapons have stopped.
that's not true. Can I just interject?
Okay.
That's a complete lie.
Okay, well, if sales of assault weapons are happening, please report it to my office, because we'll continue
Because
to enforce
your
the
definition
law.
of an assault weapon.
So here's, look, there have been multiple shootings across the country that have involved assault weapons. We know that assault weapons allow people to fire as quickly, shoot as quickly, as many bullets as possible in as little time as possible. And there's a lot of devastation that can result. But, that is something that, there are any number of laws out there So what's happened since 1998 is that gun manufacturers, and you know this from some of the catalogs and websites, have been marketing things as, quote, Massachusetts compliant, when really what they are is copies and duplicates of assault weapons. So as an enforcement matter, that's a position I took. And that's what we've enforced. Now that's been challenged, right? I can't control who sues me, but it's been challenged, and it'll get sorted out in court. I am not interested in taking away the ability for people to go to the range, to go hunt, to go sport, or to buy guns just as enthusiasts, okay? I'm really not. But when faced with a situation that when faced with a law that we've got on the books, and my job as Attorney General to enforce it, that's the position I took. So, I'd love to work with, I would hope, and I think we all share an interest in reducing gun violence.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And, I welcome a conversation about ways to achieve that. Recently, we've been, working on that issue on a number of fronts, and educating kids, working in the communities. I've got a youth anti-violence summit coming up in Boston. We're working a lot with schools, work with doctors even, about issues of gun safety.
Just work with judges
And
put criminals.
I welcome an opportunity to work with you as a lawful gun owner on this issue.
All of us here have all passed background checks. We all have families. I just put my 2-year-old daughter to bed. I live just like anyone else does.
Yeah, I hear you.
And
where do you stand on national? See, I think part of the problem. I grew up in New Hampshire, right? And I remember going out with my grandfather and shooting beer cans off the logs. Okay, part of an issue though that we have is that there are different rules around this country. And I believe in background checks. I wish that we had. What about having a national system, uniform?
We do. It's called the NICS check.
Well, we have NICS, but that's different from what you're actually able to do in terms of getting a license to carry. That varies from state to state.
If you're not a felony, you're allowed to have a firearm. If you're not a felon, so that's every state. That's a federal law. It doesn't matter. That's a requirement. That's the same requirement that's in Massachusetts.
So look, I say let's continue the conversation, and I'm welcome, and I'm open to any ideas about how we can work collectively here and across this country to reduce gun violence. And let's see what the courts is saying about the.
Maybe we should concentrate more on going after the criminals instead of the licensed, law-abiding citizens that want to carry guns.
Because you work with
We're not the ones causing trouble.
You work with the police. You work with the state police. And you have the stats, you have the statistics in front of you, and you see the arrests. And you also see the punishments, the minimum mandatories that are getting squashed by ADAs and DAs in order to close cases. Guys that are supposed to be doing 18 months on a gun charge are walking away on 6 months. And then you're blaming gun owners. So how do these guys get the guns and this and that? It's the judge's fault.
Look, these things are
it's the ADAs.
You know what, Chris? I am with you big time in doing everything we can to combat the trafficking of illegal guns. Full stop, okay? And what I said to you earlier is I would like to have more help from the federal authorities on some of those fronts, more resources. But this isn't either or. I'm making a decision to enforce an assault weapons ban. Doesn't mean that I'm not interested in investigating or prosecuting or supporting district attorneys or police departments in getting after illegal gun trafficking. I am. And we are. And there's more work to be done. But I want to work together on it.
You can start by releasing the notes that led you to that decision. And we don't.
You know what?
We don't have it. There's a Freedom of Information Act.
Hey, you give us a call, okay? Or we'll give you a call.
I'll email you the Freedom of Information Act that we haven't received.
Okay? But I don't know how to put it. You're hearing it from the horse's mouth. So
I'm telling you from the horse's mouth.
My name's Nick. I'm a lifelong resident of New Bedford. I happen to work in the firearm industry. In 2015, over 10,000 quote-unquote assault weapons were sold in the state of Massachusetts. Yet not one was recovered at the scene of a crime. Not one was responsible for a death in any of our communities. In that same period of time, we've had over 1,600 residents of this state killed by opioid overdose. What is the bigger threat to our community? Law-abiding citizens with semi-automatic rifles? Or the drug dealers in our communities peddling poison, killing children, mothers, fathers, grandparents at an alarming rate?
But it was illegal to sell them.
Okay.
And heroin
So,
is
and
illegal.
then-
It's the
okay,
law
yeah.
that needs to change.
So, okay then.
It's a reinterpretation of a law, that's why she's getting
Okay,
sued.
okay, listen, it's okay, we can have a debate, it's okay. Nick, I said at the outset, combating the opioid crisis is my top priority.
Listen to all your
Top,
issues. Why can't you listen to our issues?
Okay, so it's okay, so combating the opioid crisis, top issue, right? We need to work together on that. But, I don't want you to think that, we work on a lot of fronts in the office, and I know, I'm
But
gonna-
why are you targeting something that
I'm
hasn't
not
appeared in the
targeting-
crime?
I'm enforcing the law. And I challenge some of those statistics too, by the way. I challenge some of those statistics. But, by the way, enforcing the law doesn't depend on waiting for somebody to die.
Go back to that thought on illegal immigration. So go back to that mindset on illegal immigration.
I appreciate you guys coming tonight. I appreciate you, raising questions. And as I say, I welcome continued dialogue, on these issues. Okay? Next question.
Next question.
Thank you.
Joe. Thank you for coming. Thanks for taking our questions.
Thanks for taking our question.
Who's got a question?
Good for you.